Alright, Lamp Group members and watchers of these videos. Thank you for attending today's discussion. Well, today's newsletter. So, what we're going to be talking about today is our first manufacturer that we're going to be reviewing the history of. Why I chose to do this one first? Just took a gamble, and this is the one I wanted to do first because I believe it's got one of the most interesting histories. And the designer of the lamps made at this factory is one of the best designers. One of my favorite designers of lamps. So we will be reviewing a lot of different manufacturers, but we're doing this one today, so let's get started. So what we're talking about today is this book as well. We're going to be going over this book. It is Peddler of Dreams, the story of Howard Kron and Texans Incorporated. Howard Kron is the designer of Texans Incorporated, which is the manufacturer we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to give a brief summary about this book. You can order this book on Amazon. You can borrow it from me, and I'll let you do that. I'll let you borrow any of my books on these factories. Yeah, so let's just go over the history of this book. It says, in the early 30s, Howard Kron took a bus to Hollywood to pursue his acting dreams. Before the decade's end, he had traveled the nightclub circuit as a popular singer and discovered the world of pottery design, the arena in which he would excel. Although a relative unknown today, his extensive body of work includes some of the most memorable icons of mid-century decor, including numerous TV lamps that are treasured by collectors for their distinctive style. Peddler of Dreams examines Kron's early aspirations, disappointments, and final triumph as a ceramics designer and engineer. As the creative force behind Texans Incorporated, the pottery in the unlikely Texas town of Bangs, he imbued his creations with a unique blend of classic and modern sensibilities, taking mass-produced pottery to a new level. So, buy this book on Amazon. It runs about $10 normally, and yeah, there you go. It's Peddler of Dreams, the story of Howard Kron and Texans Incorporated by Mark Stevens. We're going to be going over 2 of my books that we have written, so let's get started. Also, well, there you go. I've got another. Texans Incorporated is a well-known lamp industry located in Bangs, Texas. The lamp company was very successful. It had developed a 20-year reputation until, in 1971, a bad thunderstorm roared over Bangs. Lightning hit the factory. Several fire departments from surrounding cities rushed to put out the blaze. However, it was too late. The fire had burned the building to ash and everything inside. However, this was not going to stop Texans Incorporated. Suffering from hundreds of lamp and furniture orders, they had to do something. They moved to downtown Bangs and resumed production. A new building was built. They were going to continue making their famous lamps, designed by Howard Kron and Richard Gunter. The old building, it closed. It says, in 1983, Texans Incorporated was sold to Sam Obert and became Challenger Lighting. In the early 90s, the plant was sold again and became American Quality Ceramics. Sadly, American Quality Ceramics ceased production in April of 2003. The old building is now used by Bangs ISD for bus barns. The building is located on Gant Street. Texans Incorporated is still in our memory, as it should and always will be. On June 5th of oh, wait a minute, that's a different section. Texans back in production. On May 30th, 1971, disaster struck in Bangs when lightning set fire to Texans Incorporated, manufacturers of ceramic lamps. Following virtually total destruction, the firm began rebuilding from scratch. In less than 2 months, they had set up shop in some downtown buildings and had some production, aided by the production of their Del Rio facility. With unfilled orders stacking up, they pushed the rebuilding of the new plant, and production increased every month as machinery and equipment was replaced. On May 30th, 1971, lightning struck the Texans Incorporated manufacturing facility in Bangs, just as the new Del Rio plant was beginning operation. The fire, inflicting damage that totaled over $1 million, leveled the pottery, and resulted in a total loss of equipment, inventory, and records. This wasn't the first time the plant suffered from such a disaster, as $200,000 in damages was lost in 1965 blaze. Construction of a new, larger Bangs plant began almost immediately, and they were back in full production within 2 years. These images, digitized from slides that are in the collection of Pete and Evangeline Eads, captured the fire in progress as well as showing the aftermath. There you go. These are images from www.texansincorporated.com. I have put these in book form and added information. I didn't include all of it because I want you to check out the website, because it would be horrible if I tried to overthrow it. I wrote this book over a year ago, so it's missing a lot of information. Which is why I wrote the second book. Excuse the washer. Okay, the introduction says this. Thank you for reading my second book about Texans Incorporated. I have thoroughly enjoyed making these books. Also, if you are wondering, Mark Stevens is the creator and designer of www.texansincorporated.com, which is the website that I used to make these books. Mark has also made some other amazing websites, which can be found in Book 1's section, Related Links. Mr. Stevens deserves just as much, or possibly more, credit as I do. Needless to say, please give him the same credit and gratitude as you do me. Texans Incorporated was a mainstay in the history of Bangs, Texas. Texans was a good manufacturer of lamps and ceramics for over 30 years. Then, in 1983, Texans was sold to Sam Obert and was changed to Challenger Lighting. Then, in the early 90s, Texans was sold again, at which point it became American Quality Ceramics. Sadly, American Quality Ceramics closed for good in April of 2003. The location had been a ceramics factory for over 52 years, and all of what was left of the firm was removed in 2005. The buildings were then sold to Bangs Independent School District and had been converted to bus barns and vehicle storage. Without knowing about its history, no one would ever think twice about it. Pages are stuck together. If you have not already, read Book 1. If you have, please enjoy. Alright, now, most of this is Mark Stevens, including this. The goal of this website, this is about TexansIncorporated.com, is to be a comprehensive historical archive of Texans Incorporated. Originally slated for publication in book form, I decided that TexansIncorporated.com would make the data more readily accessible as well as allowing for inclusions and revisions. The purpose of the site is twofold: to preserve the history of Texans Incorporated, as well as to serve as a reference for collectors of the lamps and other products of the company. This is, and probably always will be, a work in progress, with additional text and photos added on a regular basis. I gladly accept suitable articles and photos for inclusion here on TexansIncorporated.com. I wouldn't attempt this project without the help of many that share my enthusiasm for the lamp factory. These include David Cole, a great friend both to me and the community of Bangs. The unerring passion for preserving history undoubtedly fueled my decision to create this website. Former Texans employees include Pete and Evangeline Eads, Floyd Thomas, and many others provided a valuable window into the past. I particularly owe a debt of gratitude to Richard A. Gunter, whose recollections are a priceless treasure. I've got a few lamp factory newspaper article images for you. Just pause if you want to read something. Oh, stop it. There's a lot more in here, but it's just too difficult for me to hold them there for you. Here, there's one more. We already went over that book. Rebuilding after the 1971 blaze. Only a couple months after the 1971 fire, half the employees at Texans Incorporated were back at work. A building downtown was converted into a makeshift shade shop and assembly facility with lamps built from ceramic bodies fired in Del Rio. The Del Rio plant was still in the late stages of setup, but things were pushed into high gear to compensate for the loss of the Bangs factory. While intended to only produce lamp bases, with assembly taking place in Bangs, the Del Rio plant made fully assembled lamps until the new building in Bangs was complete. Further assistance came from a competitor, Horton Ceramics. 65 miles away in Eastland, they provided the use of their kiln to aid in Texans' recovery. In about 2 years' time, the new Bangs factory was operating at full song, the Del Rio plant abandoning their assembly to operation to focus on making the ceramic shop large bases. The new building was significantly larger and upgraded with more modern, efficient equipment. In spite of the increased production capability, the number of designs made in Bangs dropped from around 600 to 200, due primarily to the enormous number of models and molds that were lost in the fire. Conclusion. Thank you so much for reading my book. Please give zero credit to me. Mark Stevens was the real creator of this book. I so greatly appreciate his stunning website that provided the information in this book. I am so glad that you read this book, and please check out his website, TexansIncorporated.com, also in the section Related Links in Book 1, if you have not already done that. Well, there you go. There's today's newsletter. Please comment down below if you want to join the group or hear more info about it. Thank you and have a great day. God bless.